The knock came at sunset. Bob Marley looked up from his guitar, fingers pausing on the strings. He felt it in his bones. This was the moment he'd been dreading for months. The conversation that could either save their brotherhood or destroy it forever. Peter Tosh stood in the doorway of the old Trenchtown house, dreadlocks silhouetted against the fiery orange Kingston sky. His face carried a storm, pain, anger, and something deeper, disappointment. You wanted to talk, Bob. So talk. What Peter said over the next hour would make Bob Marley cry for the first time in his adult life, and bring an end to the greatest reggae band the world had ever known. If you love uncovering the hidden, untold stories behind music's most iconic moments, hit that like button right now and subscribe to Marley Files, the untold stories. Turn on notifications, too. We dig deep into the secrets, the heartbreak, and the real history behind the legends you love. Kingston, Jamaica. March 1974. The Wailers were crumbling, and the cracks were impossible to ignore. What had started as three young men from the ghetto, Bob, Peter, and Bunny, sharing one dream, had turned into a painful tangle of egos, money, and the heavy weight of sudden success. The shift began in 1972, when Chris Blackwell signed them to Island Records. Everything changed almost overnight. Label executives started speaking directly to Bob, making major decisions without consulting Peter or Bunny. Album covers featured Bob's face large and bold, while Peter and Bunny were pushed to the edges, almost like session musicians. The most painful change came in the credits. Albums were now released as Bob Marley and the Wailers, instead of simply the Wailers. For Peter Tosh, this wasn't just about name order or photo size. It felt like betrayal. He had been with Bob since they were teenagers. They had written some of their biggest songs together. Get Up, Stand Up, 400 Years, and more. They had survived 10 years of poverty, hunger, and rejection, side by side. They had dreamed, struggled, and celebrated as brothers. Now, Peter watched his childhood friend being shaped into a solo superstar, while he and Bunny were quietly sidelined. The final straw came just 1 week earlier, during a tense business meeting at Island Records. The label's team discussed tour schedules, recording budgets, and promotional plans, as if Peter and Bunny were invisible. When Peter tried to speak up about creative direction, he was cut off with a polite but cold, "We'll get back to you on that." Like he was an employee, not a founding member who had helped build the sound from nothing. That night, Peter called Bob. His voice was low, almost broken. "We need to talk, man. Just you and me. Like the old days." It wasn't anger Bob heard. It was hurt. Deep, bone-deep hurt. Bob suggested they meet at the small concrete house on 3rd Street in Trenchtown, the very place where 3 teenage boys had first crowded into a tiny living room to practice harmonies, write songs about struggle, and dream of changing the world. If their brotherhood was going to end, maybe it should end where it began. Bob arrived first. He sat on the front step with his acoustic guitar, playing softly to steady his nerves. The neighborhood sounds wrapped around him, children laughing, mothers calling names, radios spilling reggae into the evening air, distant traffic humming. The faded blue walls, the patch of dirt yard. Everything looked exactly like it had 10 years ago. When Peter appeared at the gate, Bob's heart sank. His oldest friend looked exhausted, older than his 29 years. The fire that had always burned in Peter's eyes was still there, but now it was clouded with sadness. "Bob," Peter said simply, not moving. "Come sit, man, like we used to." Peter hesitated, then walked slowly to the step and sat down. leaving a careful space between them. For several long minutes, neither spoke. They just listened to the sounds of Trenchtown, the world they had once dreamed of escaping together. "You remember the first song we wrote here?" Bob asked quietly. "Simmer down," Peter replied. "Summer of '63. We were kids. Thought we could conquer the world." "We did conquer it," Bob said. Peter's voice was soft but firm. "No, you conquered it, Bob. We got left behind." The words landed like a fist. Bob tried to protest, but Peter raised a hand. "I'm not finished." Peter's voice grew stronger as months of pain poured out. He spoke about how no one asked for his opinion on the music anymore, how journalists only wanted Bob, how record executives treated him and Bunny like backup singers, how Bob never stood up for them in meetings. "What hurts most isn't the money or the album covers," Peter said. "It's that you let it happen. You sat there and let them turn us into your backing band. And the worst part? I think you're starting to believe their story, that you're the genius, and we're just along for the ride." Bob set his guitar down and turned to face Peter fully. "Brother, you know that's not how I see it. You and Bunny mean everything to me. This group is us." "Do you?" Peter asked. "Because your actions say different. You didn't fight for us. Not once." Silence stretched between them. A dog barked somewhere. A car passed with reggae playing. Not theirs, but the new wave of artists who had followed in their footsteps. "Tell me what to do," Bob said finally. "Tell me how to fix this." Peter gave a bitter laugh. "You still don't get it. It's not about fixing it now. It's about what you already allowed to happen. Who you've become." "I haven't changed," Bob said. "You have," Peter answered quietly. "The Bob I grew up with would have walked out the first time they suggested changing our name. He would have said, 'If you can't respect all three of us, we'll find someone who will.' But you stayed. You thought you could work inside their system. You thought you could have fame and still keep us equal. That's not how the music business works, Bob. They were never going to give us equal treatment. And you knew it." Bob felt his chest tighten. Peter was right. Deep down, he had sensed where it was heading from the moment the label suggested Bob Marley and the Wailers. But the opportunity was so huge. The chance to spread their message of peace, unity, and resistance to the whole world. How could he turn it down? "I thought I could use the fame to lift all of us," Bob said weakly. "But you didn't," Peter replied. "You lifted yourself. And maybe you told yourself it was for the greater good. But look at us now." Peter stood and walked to the edge of the small yard, staring out at the street where they had run as boys. When he turned back, tears were streaming down his face. "You want to know what really breaks me? You didn't even fight for us. Not once. When's the last time you told those executives that Bunny deserved equal say? When's the last time you refused an interview unless they included me?" Bob searched his memory and found nothing. He had been so focused on protecting the opportunity that he had stopped protecting his brothers. "I was trying to protect what we built," Bob said. "You were protecting what you built," Peter corrected gently. "And maybe that would be okay if you were honest about it. But you keep pretending we're still equal partners. We're not. You made a choice. You chose the industry over the Wailers, fame over friendship." Bob felt something inside him crack. Peter wasn't just angry. He was heartbroken, and every word was true. "I still believe in the music," Peter continued. "One love, one heart, unity, fighting oppression, I still believe it. But how can I sing about equality when our own group is built on inequality? How can we talk about resisting oppression when we let record executives oppress our brotherhood Tears formed in Bob's eyes. Tears he hadn't shed since he was a child. "So, what are you saying? You're leaving?" "I have to leave," Peter said. "Bunny feels the same. We can't keep living a lie." "We can change it," Bob pleaded. "I'll talk to Blackwell. We'll renegotiate." Peter shook his head. "Listen to yourself, Bob. You're talking about contracts and negotiations when we used to talk about brotherhood. That's what we've lost." The sun dipped lower, painting the sky deep red. Peter stood again. This is how the Wailers ends. But it's not how Bob Marley ends. You're going to be a legend. You'll reach millions. Our message will travel the world. Just without us. Bob's voice broke. "I don't want to do it alone." "Then you should have thought about that 2 years ago when they first changed our name." Tears finally spilled down Bob's face. "I'm sorry, Peter. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing." Peter stepped closer and placed a hand on Bob's shoulder. "I know you did, brother. Maybe in some way it was meant to be. Maybe one voice was always going to carry the message to the world. And maybe that voice was always yours. But it came at a cost. The cost was us." They embraced briefly. Two men who had grown up together, dreamed together, and now had to let go. Peter walked to the gate, paused, and looked back one last time. "Keep singing the truth, Bob. Just remember where it started." Then he was gone. Thanks for watching this painful but powerful chapter in reggae history. If this story touched you, please smash that like button, subscribe to Marley Files, The Untold Stories, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next hidden story. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Bob should have fought harder for Peter and Bunny, even if it meant risking the huge platform he got? Or was he right to take the solo path so the message could reach more people? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. See you in the next untold story. One love.